Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a 3 looks, 1 palette video using the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. I always planned on filming this video and then it kind of got pushed to the wayside in favor of other videos. But in my recent eyeshadow palette declutter, which I will link, two of you commented that you would still be interested in seeing a 3 looks 1 palette video with this palette. So that is what I'm bringing you today. If you'd like to see 3 looks with Natasha Denona My Dream, including this fall copper autumn leaves kind of look I'm rocking today, then just keep on watching. All right, so for the first look, I'm gonna go for something fairly neutral, I think. So I'm gonna start with the shade Nurture, which is kind of like this neutral taupey brown shade, and I'm gonna put that in the crease. Apologies for my wet hair. I don't think you all really care that much, but I don't have a ton of time to get ready because my husband and I are going to the movies. We are going to see Speak No Evil today, which looks really good, and I do want to see it, but it also looks kind of scary. I am definitely a baby when it comes to scary movies, so I'm hoping that it's more of like a psychological thriller, because those I can deal with a little better than just like straight up horror. It's able to build that shade up quite a bit to get it pretty dark in the crease actually. I'm gonna take a smaller brush into the shade Familia, which is this warmer kind of chestnut brown, and just build up the crease a little bit more with this. And the outer corner. But if you are kind of a baby with scary movies like I am, my fail-safe trick is just plug your ears. Whenever it gets to be too scary, I just plug my ears because I feel like scary movies just rely so much on the soundtrack for the scare factor. So yeah, if you ever feel like things are too scary, you just kind of plug your ears and it takes away the like movie magic of it all, and then you're able to watch it with like a, I don't know, a more objective, like critical eye and be less terrified. At least that's what works for me. Okay, going back into Nurture, and I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit. I really like that shade Familia. It seemed to go on very smoothly. I'm then going to take the shade Serenity, which is this kind of like taupey-ish, cooler tone shimmer. It's probably the coolest tone shade in the whole palette. Sort of like a taupey bronze. And I'm going to put that on the lid. It's got that really soft sheen, like a more classic Natasha Denona shimmer formula. It's not super sparkly, but it is just more of like that soft, a soft sheen is the best way I can describe it. Very wearable and kind of refined on the eyes. Back in with my blending brush to blend that in with the rest of the look. I'm going to mix the shade Familia with a little bit of the shade Nurture for the lower lash line. By the way, please don't look too closely at my skin today. I am experiencing some pretty bad flaking and peeling from my tretinoin. I tried increasing my tretinoin from once a week to twice a week. I know, I really pushed it. And my skin was like, nope, we hate that. So now my makeup is sitting really weird because I have a bunch of texture, which is lovely. So please just look past that. I think I want to take a tiny bit of the shade Aspiration, deep plummy brown matte, and just use that like right at the lash line, like a really soft eyeliner effect. It's like a softer alternative to the black that's in the palette. That just adds a little bit more definition at the lash line. Okay, and then for a final step, I'm going to take the shade Spontaneous, which is the infamously misspelled shade. It's kind of like a, looks like a soft champagne-y gold, and I'm going to put that on my inner corner. Nice pretty way to just brighten up the look. And that shade does have a lot more of a sparkle to it than the shimmer we have all over the lid. Very eye-catching and pretty. And I think that's going to be the look. So let me go run and put mascara on and a lip, and I will be back to show you the finished look number 1. Okay, so here is the look. It's very neutral, very simple, very wearable, but perfect, I think, for an afternoon spooky movie date. Hopefully not too spooky. I will report back on the movie when I come back for look number 2. Okay, we are back for look number 2, and I want to do something kind of pinky purpley. I think I definitely want to use the multi-chrome in this palette, which is like that cool shift from purple to greeny gold, if you can see that. So I think I'm going to go quite purpley in the crease and outer corner and then put the multi-chrome across the lid. Hopefully that's not a look that you've seen 1,000 times with people using this palette, but I do feel like the multi-chrome is kind of the most special shade out of the palette and the one that a lot of people want to see. I'm going to start with the shade Unity in the crease, which is this kind of peachier, lighter matte. Just kind of leaning into more of a pinky toned vibe. I'm sorry that look number 1 was a little bit rushed yesterday, but at least you got to see the palette used in a very realistic way, rushing out the door and just throwing some eyeshadow on the eyes. The movie, Speak No Evil, by the way, was pretty good. It wasn't too scary. It was much more of like a thriller with like probably 20 minutes at the end that had more horror elements, like more violence. So I'm a baby about scary movies, but I enjoyed it and I didn't have to plug my ears. I didn't have to do my trick. So if you are thinking about going and you're wondering how I found it, I actually thought it was pretty good. Now I'm going to go in with Instinct, which is this lighter and slightly more red toned of the purpley mattes. I think this might be a cream to powder. It looks like it is. It looks like a different texture than the other mattes in the palette. So I'm going to use that in my crease. And also a bit on the outer corner as well. Definitely feel the cream to powder texture of this one. If you've watched any of my other Natasha Denona videos, you might know that I don't tend to be a huge fan of the cream to powders just because you see how I like to work with my mattes. I like to be able to diffuse them easily into the crease, and I just feel like sometimes the cream to powders can be a little bit finicky for that purpose. So now I'm taking my brush back into that first shade and blending the edge. It's just not a seamless experience for me when I use the cream to powders. I think if you're using them on your finger and you're just applying them kind of all over the lid, or if you're using them as like a powder liner, they can be really nice used that way. But for the way that I like to use mattes, it's just not my favorite formula. But I seem to be able to blend this out fairly well, at least so far. And I love the color, so I really wanted to use this shade. Okay, and then to deepen things up, I'm going to go into the shade Edgy, which I believe is also a cream to powder. It's like a really deep, plummy kind of a color. In the pan, it looks almost like a blackened plum, but the cream to powders oftentimes look deeper in the pan than they do on the eye. So as you can see, it's coming up almost more like a true deep purple. Just kind of packing that on the outer third here. I'm then going to take that same color Edgy and I'm going to run that along the lower lash line. It comes up a lot brighter than it looks in the pan. As you can see, it's almost more like it's got more of a magenta to it, which makes this palette a lot less neutral than it might seem at first glance. It's definitely got a lot of color to it. I'm just going to blend that out with a touch of the lighter cream to powder we used before called Instinct. And just a note, I did get some fallout here. These cream to powders tend to give me fallout even though they are creams, which is always kind of interesting to me and, you know, something to keep in mind. I'm probably going to have to clean that up because it just makes a total mess, which is unfortunate, but this always seems to happen to me with the Natasha Denona cream to powder formula. I always get fallout from it, so not ideal, but we can clean it up pretty easily. Okay, and then to just really deepen things up even further, I'm going to take the black in this palette called Blackest Black. It is not a cream to powder, it's just a typical matte formula, but it is a really, really pigmented black shade, so it is excellent for liner. It's probably the best black shadow I have in my collection, and I actually took it out of this palette and put it in my custom palette that I made of singles for my wedding makeup. That's how much I love this black. So I'm just starting by kind of lining along my lash line on the top and right at the lashes on the bottom. And then I'm going to take a smaller smudging brush and I'm going to go into the shade Aspiration, which is that kind of charcoal-y, plummy shade I used in look number 1, and I'm just going to smoke that out. So just kind of going over the edges to create a really nice smoky lash line. And I'll do that on the bottom as well. All right, definitely gonna have to clean up that lower lash line area, but that's okay. Let's go in with our shimmer. So taking the shade of Vision, which is the multi-chrome shade, just on my finger, and I'm going to, wow, it swatches so beautifully. I'm just going to press that across the lid. Super duper pretty. I definitely see the green coming up as I shift my head in the light, but it also definitely reflects the purple that we've got going on in the look already. It would be so interesting to pair this with more green shades because I don't know how to show you on the camera, but when I look at this shade, it flashes back green. Like the multi-chrome is definitely like a greeny blue with a touch of gold. So pretty, so cool. But I feel like for this look, it's definitely flashing back a lot of the purples because that's what we've got underneath it, which is perfect for this look. I'm just going to take my blending brush and blend that shimmer to just make sure everything is blended together at the edges. And then for an inner corner, let's see. I think I'm going to try Thrill today, which might have a bit of a flip to it as well. Maybe not. It looks like it almost has like a gold to pink kind of a flip, but it's the shade right here. So I'm just taking that on my pinky and going right in the inner corner. Oh yeah, you can definitely see the flip when it's on the eye. It's really, really pretty. What a fun and interesting color story this turns out to be. It looks a lot more neutral in the palette than it does on the eyes. feel like this is really colorful and fun for Natasha Denona especially. I take a little bit of that just underneath the eye as well, just for some added kind of twinkle. That looks really pretty. And should we add some of that multi-chrome on the lower lash line? Let's do it. Just a tiny bit on my pinky finger, and just kind of right in the middle there. Oh wow. I love what that added to the look. So pretty. All right, so I'm gonna go and do mascara. I'm gonna clean up my under eye and pick out a lip, and I will be back to show you the finished look. Okay, we're back, and I love the way this look turned out. I ended up leaning into the grungy vibes, and in my waterline, I put the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Joyride, which is a nice kind of like burgundy red. I feel like this look is a nice crossover between purple and red, creating like a burgundy vibe overall. So I went with the burgundy rather than the purple, but I think either one could work. And then on my lips, I can't stop wearing this combo ever since I got this gloss. It's the NYX and Beetlejuice collab. Sandworm Swirl is the name of it. It looks black and white, but it's actually more of like a purple. You can see where it's kind of mixed together. And it's actually like a perfect combo to pair with the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Moonwalk, which is sort of like a gray, mauvey, purpley kind of a tone. I just love this combo together. And I love the way that the look turned out. I just wish I could change one thing about the palette. I just really, really wish that the purples, these two shades, were the regular matte powder formula, not the cream to powders, because I just feel like it would be easier to work with them overall and would be less cleanup, because the pigment does seem to just splatter all over my face. But other than that, I do really love this look. It's really fun, and yeah, it's just a nice something different from the other Natasha Denona palettes that I have in my collection, to be able to play with these like deeper, more burgundy, grungy purple tones, and the multi-chrome, and the multi-chrome I think is also really, really special. So that is it for look 2. I will now pass you over to the third look. All right, we are back for the third and final look with the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. I am filming for the first time in my new filming setup, so forgive me if the lighting seems a little bit off. I'm still kind of working that out. Actually, am going to be putting up, if it's not up already, a whole video setting up my filming setup and reorganizing my makeup space. So keep an eye out for that if you haven't seen it already. But let's just jump in to look number 3. So for this look, I'm going to be playing with like this half of the palette. I feel like I've played with this half quite a bit. So I'm going to be getting more into the kind of like warmer shades in this palette. The shade Babies is really interesting to me. It's like this kind of like a warmer, mauvier shade, and maybe pairing it with this red here to go for just like a fall inspired warm kind of a look, and maybe tapping this gold shimmer over the top to just give like a really pretty burnished golden red fall leaves kind of a vibe. I don't know how we're feeling about it, but I think that's what I'm gonna go for. So to start, I'm gonna dip into the shade Unity, which is this lighter peachier transition shade, and I'm gonna put that in the crease. I feel so excited to finally have a filming background, because I was just so tired of filming in front of a blank white wall in the shadowy corners of my home. So it feels so nice to see myself in the viewfinder and like see cute things behind me. It's very different. So you'll have to let me know in the comments what you're thinking about the filming setup and the lighting. Hopefully you can see me as well as you need to and everything is good. I'm then going to go into Carpe Diem, which is like the slightly deeper sister to that first shade that we used. It's got a little bit more almost like mauve brown to it. And I'm just going to start deepening up that outer corner and blending that into the crease. Back in with that first brush that we used to just make sure those are blended together nicely. Okay, and then I think to deepen even just a little bit more, I'm going to go into the shade Familia, which is this warmer chestnut brown, and put that kind of at the lash line and then out into the outer corner. Okay, and then I'm taking my finger into the shade Risk, which is this metallic kind of red shade. And I'm going to press that on the outer half of my lid and kind of blend that into those outer corner shades. It's a really pretty, like, wearable, almost burgundy red. It's got that nice little bit of sheen, but it's not overly sparkly. And then I'm going to take my finger into the shade Babies, which is that more kind of taupey, mauvey shade. And I'm going to put that on the inner half of my lid. Ooh, I really, really like that shade. That's super pretty. It's striking me as like a true taupey mauve. Not too warm, but also not cool. I think it would be flattering on a lot of people, and a lot of people would really like that shade. And I actually really like the pairing of those two together. Just going back in with a little bit of that shade Carpe Diem to blend out the crease in the outer corner. And then on a smaller brush, I'm going to go in with the shade Risk, which is that burgundy kind of metallic shade, not really a shimmer. And I'm going to take that on the lower lash line just to really tie in the red. It's really, really pretty. Very fall, getting all the fall vibes from this eyeshadow look. Okay, and then I do want to play with the shade Invention because it's like a goldy orange shade. It's got some kind of a shifty flip to it, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that and just kind of put it through the center of my lid to just add a little extra sparkle and interest. And then I think just for fun, I'm going to take a little bit of that shade on my pinky and just put that right at the start of my lower lash line as well, just to really brighten up the lower lash line. Fun! I think this is such a perfect fall eyeshadow look. I'm actually going to stop there and do some liner. I might use that burgundy liner again that I used with the more like pinky purpley look because I feel like it would tie in really well with this look too. And then I will do some mascara and I will be back to show you the finished look number 3. Okay, I'm back. So I did end up using the same cream gel liner from ColourPop in the shade Joyride in the waterline, and I feel like it just tied the warm burgundy look together. I think this is super cute, like a burnished copper sort of look. Honestly, perfect for the season. And for my lips, I actually bought this today, which is why I want to try it. This is the NYX Butter Gloss Bling in the shade Hustla. And I found out about this from Red Girl Reviews, who I just recently subscribed to on YouTube. I have been absolutely loving her content. She makes a lot of content about like fair, cooler skin tone makeup recommendations, but I feel like anybody could benefit from watching her channel, and this was one of the lip glosses that she recommended, and I just feel like it looks perfect for fall. Here, I'll try to get a close-up for you. It's got like a really pretty burgundy base with flecks of gold and copper, so I feel like I have to try this on with this look. I just took off my lip balm a little bit, and let's see what this looks like. Yum. I love the smell of the NYX Butter Glosses. It's so, so nostalgic and yummy smelling. I feel like maybe I should have put a lip liner on, but let's see what it looks like first. You can see the sparkles, but there's no gritty feeling on the lips, so that's good because I hate that feeling. And I feel like you can kind of build up the color to however deep you want it to be. Let's see if I can build it up a little. Just to get a little bit more. I love this with this look, and for fall, especially if you aren't a fan of like a deep matte burgundy kind of a lip, you might get on better with something a little bit more sheer and sheeny like this, but still so pretty. Really, really glad that we tried this because I feel like it ties the look together perfectly. And this is everything for the third and final look with the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. So overall thoughts on the palette, I am really pleasantly surprised by the variety I was able to get from this palette. I feel like all of these looks are so different from one another, even if they did share shades to start with. And I don't know, I just feel like this is a palette that a lot of people would like because it has so many different types of looks in it. For the most part, these shades do pull warm on my skin, but there are some cooler on the warm spectrum options, like with the purples and the more kind of taupey mauvey shades. Also a nice variation in formulas. You have the more sparkly shades and then the more just kind of sheeny metallics. I think you could get some really easy, quick, everyday looks out of this. You can play with color in this. You can go very, very smoky with this palette. So yeah, I really enjoyed putting these three looks together, and I feel like there's a lot more looks to come out of this palette. If you have this one and you love it, I would love to know down below if you have a favorite shade or a go-to look with this palette. Let me know if there are any palettes in my collection that you would like to see me use on my channel and create some more looks with. I always have so much fun doing these multiple looks, one palette type videos. Give the video a like if you liked it, and thank you so much for watching today. If you'd like to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe, and I will hope to see you in my next video. Bye!